Yes. All right. Focus up, people. Scott Wilson with Dumbass Contractors checking in. Welcome to today's briefing. This morning's topic: why do you think they call it contracting? All right. I've been waiting to do this one for a while. This is for all of my dumbass contractors and all of my dumbass subcontractors and all of my baby tradesmen and all of my dumbass tradesmen. Why do you think they call it contracting? All right, that's the basis of what we do. If you're a general contractor, you're the general. If you're a subcontractor, you're under the general. Sometimes we call it a prime contractor. That's kind of how I do it. I'm the carpentry subcontractor, subcontractor. I do the tile work, sheetrock work, and then I'll manage the plumber and the electrician, but the homeowner will pay the plumber and the electrician. That's prime contractor is a whole topic in and of itself. All right. Why do you think they call it contracting? We write contracts. We sign contracts. When I graduated college, my mom gave me a pen. She told me to start contracting, start writing contracts. And that's what I did. She knew what I was going to do for my life. And I've been building, writing, developing my contracts ever since. I went from a simple piece of paper that people signed to today I work with 4 or 5 different contracts depending upon the scope and the depth of detail in my contract. When I'm doing a kitchen, a full gut kitchen with everything new, I might have 15 pages in my contract. If I'm doing some handyman stuff, putting a letter slot in a door, for $400, yeah, that's a 1-page sign here. Thank you very much. We'll get the work done and we'll get right out of here. Right now I live in New York, where contracts are very specific. You have to have a lot of specific wording in the contract, particularly about mechanics liens and supply house liens. And if that verbiage isn't in the contract is invalid. You have to have a start date and end date. I'm in Suffolk County, so I have to have a license in Suffolk County. Long Island in New York in general is notorious. I think to work in the Long Island and the New York metro area, you have to have 27 licenses. I have a Suffolk County license that's not valid in East Hampton or Southampton or Shelter Island. And I have to have my Suffolk County license and then a separate rider for those towns within Suffolk County. If I'm working in Southampton and I don't have a Southampton license, my contract is invalid. I could write a perfect contract with perfect wording, but if I don't have that addendum to my Suffolk County license, I can't lien the property. I can't collect my money at the end of the job. The contract is invalid. So you want to study contract law. You want to have a lawyer that reviews it. Consumer Affairs has reviewed my contract. You want to really have as much feedback. I've probably edited my contracts 200 times, rewritten them. Sometimes I'll just toss them all out and start over again. I take classes. We have a lot of trade shows here on Long Island, and I've sat through 10 or 15 different classes on how to write a contract on Long Island that's valid. New York is a consumer state. The laws here are set up to benefit the consumer. New Hampshire, where I'm originally from, is a business state, and they're more focused on the rights and collections of the businesses, the small businesses. So you have to be aware of that environment. Ask around. Find out why what a contract is for your area. If you're in Chicago or DC, it's going to be different than if you're in rural Iowa or Utah. Every area is going to be specific, but you want to write that contract specific for your area, legal in your area, enforceable in your area, and get everybody to sign it every time. and save those contracts and review. If you have a job that goes bad and you find yourself in a courtroom, which we all will eventually, it's a great opportunity to learn how good your contract was. I learned about this from a lot about this from my friend Fred Veach. He was a barber down the street, and he owned a bunch of pizza places in a previous lifetime. And he sat down with his lawyer and he says, "I want you to explain to me what this landlord is asking me to sign." And they went through every word in the contract, every clause in the contract. And his lawyer, who's also a friend of mine, became an expert in contract law and could explain to a layman what this really means. That he was responsible for maintenance on the roof, for the plumbing maintenance, for uh, the taxes. Happened to a buddy of mine. Landlord came in, renewed the lease. He signed it without reading it. And the landlord had put a clause in where he was now responsible for the property taxes on his store. It was a $6,000 addition to his rent that he didn't even know was in there. The guy never even told him it was in the contract. Contracts mean something. So you have to read every word and understand what it's saying. I've only had a handful of people that have gone through my contract word for word. One of them, the wife worked for a large real estate firm here on Long Island, and she'd been through, she was a paralegal, and she'd been through a lot of mechanics liens on their properties. A lot of times subcontractors don't get paid, and all of a sudden a lien comes in on a piece of property that they're an upstanding company that likes to keep their paperwork clean. And she went through my contract in very close detail. It's always good when people want to go through your contracts. I have a clause in my contract that says that there's a $2 per lineal foot per day charge for storage. If there's an unpaid bill, if somebody has an invoice that they don't pay and I have to stop work on the job, they have to pay me $2 per lineal foot per day to store cabinetry and millwork. Millwork. All right. Now, in New York, I can only charge 9% interest on an unpaid invoice. This is the one that went through Consumer Affairs. They have to pay a storage fee, if I have 600 lineal feet of millwork, I can tape it up and store it in the corner of my shop, and that's $1,200 a day in a storage fee. And it's in the contract, and they have to pay it. I've never collected on it. I don't want to collect on it. I just want to come in, do my work, and move on. But when somebody wants to get into a money argument with me, we sit down and we're talking, and they say they're not going to pay me, I tell them, all right, great. You have 600 lineal feet of millwork in my shop. That's $1,200 a day. Sunday is a rental day. It's about $8,000 a week. It's about $400,000 a year to store that millwork. It's a lot of money. What would you rather do? Cut me a check for $3,000 because we templated for the countertops, or you want to pay $8,000 to store the millwork in my shop, and I'll go to work at somebody else's house? Contracts mean something. It's a tool. It's a means to an end. It protects you. It protects your family. All right. You write the contract. We write the contracts. That's why we call it contracting. We write the contracts. We contract every day. That's our job. Our job is contracting, writing contracts, enforcing contracts, completing contracts, living up to our end of the contract, being responsible for the contract. All right. That's why they call it contracting. Get that pen. Start editing your contracts. Talk with your lawyers. All right. We're burning daylight. This is Scott Wilson with Dumbass Contractors, urging you to stay loose, stay relaxed. Most importantly, stay in front of it. Wilson out.